You're watching election night coverage on WQAD News 8.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for our live election night coverage streaming here on the News 8 Plus app.
Yeah, Illinois and Iowa polls are now closed. Ballots are being counted.
And your ballot includes the U.S. presidential race as well as who you want to represent you in the U.S. House of Representatives. So we're going to turn it over now to Drew Coffey. Hi, Drew.
Hey, good evening. So right here, we're outside the Scott County Administrative Center, and as you can see right behind me, law enforcement from around Scott County are beginning to collect the ballots. And I'll step out of the way so you can take a look at what's going on here. And essentially what's going on is many sheriff deputies and police officers are coming through and dropping off the SIM cards from the machines at each precinct, all 66 of them to be exact. And that has all the data and all the results and of how many people counted and their results on it. And they're dropping it off here where they're marking it on their papers. And essentially what they'll do later, they'll take those results and they'll actually take the handwritten paper ballots and they'll count them only in some precincts to make sure that the numbers are accurate. Now this comes after today to 17,000 people, over 17,000 people around Scott County voted, and from 11 to 4, over 33,000 people voted. Now here within the next hour, we'll be inside the building and we'll continue our coverage moving forward. Now back to the studio.
All right, thank you, Drew. Jenna, you are tracking the race for president and the races for Iowa 1st and Illinois 17th congressional districts.
Yeah, but it's still relatively early in the evening in some sense because there's still a lot of results we're waiting for, Jenna.
Yeah, I want to focus in on the 17th here because I know we're going out to our reporters live there next. We only have about a third of the vote that has been counted so far in the Illinois 17th. Right now, McGraw has about a less than 3% lead over Eric Sorensen. What's interesting is here up in the Rockford area, right now McGraw is winning by a pretty sizable lead there. That's a county that Eric Sorensen won by 15 points in 2022, but it was leaning a little bit more Republican, so we'll kind of keep an eye. It is a very Democratic area, so we'll see if that flips as the night goes on. We're not getting any data so far from the Bloomington Normal area. I'm not sure why that isn't populating. That is a very Democratic area for Eric Sorensen. Going into Rock Island County with a 34% of the vote. You can see it's very, very close there, which again, it was not when Eric Sorensen won in 2022. The one that was really close in 2022, where Esther Joy King, the Republican candidate, only won by about 0.9% of the vote, is McDonough County, which includes Macomb, the Western Illinois University campus. Right now, Eric Sorensen is leading in there. And of course, he's leading in Peoria County. In 2022, our turnout, about 63% was from Peoria, McLean, Rock Island, and of course, up here in the Rockford area. We've got Iowa results to get to tonight, but I know we've got our Illinois reporters standing by too, guys.
As we mentioned, we have live team coverage of the congressional races in our viewing area. Maddie Franz is in Riverside, Iowa with Congresswoman Mariannette Miller Meek's campaign. Harrison Belsanti is in Iowa City with her challenger, Christina Bohannon. And Joe Havisham is in Moline with Congressman Eric Sorensen. And that's where we start tonight. Joe, you have had your eye on this race for several weeks now. And of course, you've been talking to a lot of folks there at Poor Brothers.
Yeah, I have. And one of the last people that we have spoken to since one of the last times that we met was Eric Sorensen's one of their campaign staffers. And he said, when I asked him what were the biggest changes from 2 years ago, back when he did win, it was like he's been able to get his face in front of a lot more people. Now, it's funny to mention that because he was our weatherman for, a better part of a decade. So he's been somebody that people are really familiar with, and that's what a lot of voters are looking for in their local officials. Most of the people that I've talked to have said that they feel like they have a personal relationship, a personal bond with Sorensen, and that's been something that he's really been able to capitalize on going into tonight. Now, as we mentioned, we have more than a quarter of the votes in, and the campaign, like I said, they feel very strongly about where they are right now. They're waiting to see what ends up happening. When you go back and look at 4 of the last 5 representatives from this district have been Democrats, and when you look back at it, all 4 or 3 of them, Lane Evans, Phil Ware, and Cherry Bustos, all the 3 Democratic candidates outside of Sorensen have all had a second term, and Eric Sorensen is hoping to make that his story tonight.
Here, Joe McGraw actually leading 51% to 48% the margin there really just a couple of thousand votes at this point.
Yeah, a lot to go though still.
Yeah, and of course we're keeping an eye on McGraw's campaign. His watch party is in Rockford tonight. This is, well, we were hoping to get you a live look. That's not a live look. But we do have cameras there. We don't have a reporter there, but we're going to monitor the progress, and hopefully if we end up hearing McGraw speak at some point throughout tonight, we're going to hopefully bring that to you.
One place we do have reporters we're in Iowa. The big race for us is the race for Iowa's 1st congressional district.
Maddie Franz is live for us tonight in Riverside, Iowa with Congresswoman Mariannette Miller Meeks' campaign. Good evening, Maddie.
Hey, good evening, John. Yeah, we're at the Riverside Casino and Resort. We're just south of Iowa City. Now, it's been about an hour since doors opened here. Now, people are starting to fill in at some of these tables, but the energy is pretty quiet here. Now, I did talk to a few supporters. They say that the economy is a big driver behind their decision this election. They mentioned gas and food prices are up, and that is true. One woman mentioned that she is missing those $2 gas prices back in 2020. Now, during our in-studio interview, Miller Meeks attributes that growth in prices, all that inflation, to the big spending bills from the current administration. Now, think of your Inflation Reduction Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, the CHIPS Act, and the American Rescue Plan Act. Now, we're still waiting to see the Congresswoman. She is coming from Pella, which is about an hour-and-a-half drive. That's where she was doing some door knocking in the late afternoon. So we're still waiting on word on when she'll be here, but when she is here, she'll give a speech, and we'll be sure to bring that back to you in the studio.
Maddie, it looks like things have filled out a little bit more since the last time we checked in on you. Are there a lot of people there? What are you seeing?
Yeah, there's a few dozen people. A lot of people are watching the national results on TV as they're coming in. A lot of people are chatting, just getting to know each other. A lot of the Iowa nice going on here. But yeah, it's filling out pretty okay.
All right, thanks, Maddie. Miller Meeks, of course, running against Democratic challenger Christina Bohannon. Harrison Belsanti is in Iowa City tonight, where Bohannon is looking to unseat Miller Meeks this time around. Good evening, Harrison.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Tonight we're in Iowa City at the Christina Bohannon election night party, and as you can see behind me, there's quite a turnout here. I'd say about 200 people or so are watching the national broadcast and polls here, tracking which states have been called for Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. However, we're tracking the political rematch in Iowa's 1st congressional district. Bohannon spent the day talking with many students throughout the district, encouraging them to go out and vote. Democrats nationally are hoping to flip this swing district. A new survey from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee shows Bohannon leads Meeks by 4 points in the district, 50 to 46%. A separate poll back in August showed the candidates in a dead heat, signaling a possible surge in support for the Democratic candidate. We talked with Bohannon supporters at tonight's event, and many say women's reproductive health care and the issue of abortion rights are major factors in their voting decision. We talked with one supporter who's hopeful for a Bohannon victory.
I think Christina is fantastic. She is brilliant. She is energetic. She has wonderful job experience for the job. And I just think she laps rings around Miller Meeks. I think she'll go far, even in national politics.
We'll continue to bring the latest updates from Iowa City tonight, and for now, I'll go ahead and send things back to you guys in the studio.
Question for you, and if you're still on here, right now there's about a 5-point difference between these two candidates in the race right now. Only 9% of precincts reporting, so not a huge number of votes coming back just yet. But both candidates knew this was a tight race. What's the confidence level amongst the folks who were there?
The confidence level is very high, John. Everybody here watching Bohannon, they're psyched for her to come out pretty soon. Like we said, through statements released all week from Bohannon's group, they're very confident in the results of this race.
All right, Harrison, thank you.